Welcome. This is Unapologetically Strong on WOVU 95.9 FM. Pardon me in that little interruption that we had just a little while ago, but we are live and we're going on. So I got a really special show today. I got the one, the only, Dr. Cynthia Sutherland. Are you still there with me?
I am, Eric. I am.
What's up? What's up? How you feel?
I am good, man. It's one of them days I decided to work from home.
Yeah, the good doctor's in the house, though. The good doctor's in the house. So let's go a little backwards a little bit. So you are Cynthia Sutherland, is that right? Dr. Cynthia Sutherland. You are a IT cybersecurity specialist. So before you jump in, let me just go down all of your superlatives, if you don't mind.
Okay.
So I'm gonna jump down all of your superlatives. So. And this is over the last 10 years. So you've been busy. You've been busy. So over the last 10 years, so let's start off with you, cyber operations branch chief with the Office of Secretary of Defense, chief information secretary, security officer with the Joint Chiefs, adjunct professor with the George Washington University, chief information specialist, security officer with FEMA. And right now you're with Amazon, period. Not to mention you are a top Amazon author with your book Letters to My Brown Girls: 4 Phases to a Liberated Life Beyond Childhood Sexual Abuse. And you're also a founder of Hidden Treasures Inc. Is that about right?
Yes, sir. That's a good
did
summary.
Did I get everything? I tried to get. You have been busy over the past 10 years. You have been tremendously busy over these past 10 years, and I really appreciate that you decided to come on this platform and just give me a little bit of time. Give me a little bit of your time, your effort, because anyone that has, as we said off the air, has touched the hand of the Michelle Obama. To give me a little bit of time, is something that, I'm going to cherish. So welcome to the party. How you feeling today?
Oh, I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it, Eric. This is going to be fun. Anytime, whenever you need me, just give me a call. I got you because you are a good friend. I really appreciate you
that.
And how you make me smile and keep me on my toes.
I appreciate that. So this show is called Unapologetically Strong. And so where we talk about the strength of individuals that come on. But I usually ask a certain direct question, but I'm going to ask yours differently based off of your history. I mean, you're a black girl in tech, let's be real, black woman in tech. So let's be real. So asking you the simple question that I ask people about strength can get a little bit mundane. But what I do want to know about you just overall and all the things that you have done, can you talk a little bit about your evolution of strength all the way from South Carolina, one of the, like you said, the small town in South Carolina, and now, you're in D.C. You, like I said, you didn't shake the hand or touch the hand of the Michelle Obama. So how can you talk a little bit or just, talk about your evolution of strength, from then to now?
Sure. So I think the most pivotal moment was when I became a government employee within the Defense Department, within DOD.
Okay.
And one of the things that I wanted to do, I transitioned from doing contract work to a government employee because I had just recently had my child. And one of the things I learned from my first child, being pregnant and having my son at 18 to having my daughter at 33, was that I didn't want to miss any more milestones.
Okay.
Because I missed a lot from my first child because I was in the military and stuff like that. And so I went into being a civilian for the Defense Department. And when I became this security operations branch chief, my job was to consolidate 14 networks across the entire Pentagon into one network.
Okay.
The Secretary of Defense was like, look, We needed one IT service provider for the entire building. And
Nice.
so our role was to consolidate. My role
Hmm.
was to secure all that.
So your this evolution of you, let's be real. You came from a small town, went to the military. You had a child early before you were getting your feet going on, right? Getting moving forward. When you look back at some of the things that you have gone through, what is the one thing that you can think about that stands out that says this is the reason why I am the way I am?
It was because of that job.
Yeah.
When I came in trying to take all of the IT
Mm-hmm.
money and people from all those other people, oh, the knives came out. They, oh my God, I got so many sexist and racial slurs because they were upset that I was taking things from them. And you know how
Wow.
people are
Yeah.
about moving your keys.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so after 6 months of just taking that sexism and racism, I broke
Mm-hmm.
down.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't take it anymore. I was like, yo, I'm leaving. I went to home HR, to my chief of staff,
Right.
and he's a good friend of mine. And I was like, look, if I'm going to deal with all this, I can go get paid twice as much money in private sector and do this. And he was
I need
like,
my
no,
dividends. I need my
I
dividend.
need my exactly. If I'm dealing with this, I was like, yo, I can't do it. He was like, no, Cynthia, I need you to stay and take one for the team because we're trying to do something here.
Right.
And I was like, you know what? If I'm gonna stay and take one for the team because I was supporting another black woman and I wanted her to be successful,
Right.
that's why I stayed to take one for the team. But I had to take a step back and figure out why was I being triggered the way I was.
Mm.
Why
Mm.
was sexism and racism hitting me so hard? So I
Yeah.
took my self-awareness journey.
Okay.
And it was that journey that helped me just evolve and really see who I really
Mm-hmm.
was, coming from, suffering as a, child, being sexually abused from 3 to 10 years old,
Right.
under, even living under a 60-year generational curse of
Mm.
childhood sexual abuse.
Mm.
That was a lot. And
60
so for
years.
me, 60
Wow.
years.
Wow.
My
Okay.
children, my daughter is the first woman in my first female in my family to never be inappropriately touched
Oh my goodness. Just
in
think about the
four
weight of
generations.
that. Just think about the weight of that. What you just basically said is, since this generational, since you, let me go backwards. Let me just say it because we are live, so I got to say it right. What you just basically stated was based on your lineage, your daughter is the first one to not be harmed in a way that no one should be harmed in. That is a
Yes.
powerful statement. Think of all the advances that we've had, all the things that have happened, all the wars that have happened, everything that have happened. Not only to Black Americans, but also to the United States. And your daughter, who is how old is she now?
She's 12.
12. That's what I thought, because your son was the first one. 12 is the first one not to have to deal with that trauma.
Yeah.
That's a really powerful statement. Like, period.
It is. And for me, just that evolution of me
Mm-hmm.
being, like I said, being strong enough to push against that 60-year generational curse and still pushing against it because your entire family,
Right.
they're pushing back where they don't want you to talk about it. They don't want you to uncover or just,
Mm-hmm.
discuss these certain things that are going on in the family. And then whether, it happened to them or whether they're feeling bad because they didn't have the
Right.
know-withal or the courage to stand up against it.
Right. When you do your advocacy work and you tell that story, how often do you get individuals that come up to you and just literally look you dead in the eyes and say, "You told me my story as well"?
Oh, yes, I've had that happen to for National Sexual Assault Awareness Month in April. I
Mm-hmm.
focused this year on the Defense Department and I spoke at Walter Reed Army Research Institute, as well as Fort Belvoir's Army Medical Center. And in every talk, soldiers were coming up to me
Mm.
afterwards saying, I went through what you went through. I even had
Mm.
one woman ask me, how is it that you even got married
Wow.
and became successful after this? I said, and that's why I wrote the book,
Right.
because after the journey, people kept asking me that question. And so I put all of that in the book to
Mm-hmm.
show them my healing journey.
Right.
And I gave them the pitfalls that they may experience, and I gave them the resources to help them navigate those pitfalls.
Yeah.
Because being strong through that, it takes a lot, and sometimes you may fall back just within yourself, and you have to find the strength to take that step forward. And you need that, sometimes you need that little nudge.
Right.
And so for me, I needed that nudge, whether it was, Kirk Franklin,
Mm-hmm.
or whether it's, Kirk Franklin before I die, or whether it's Ti and Jay-Z. And where I depending on what I'm going through that day,
Right.
I need may need something different. And so I keep that on my playlist. I even
Mm-hmm.
created YouTube playlists
Mm-hmm.
based
Mm-hmm.
off the book so that survivors can go there and get that extra nudge if they need it.
When I had a son, so my when my oldest son's mother was pregnant, I
Mhm.
wished that I had a girl. During that gestation period, because I wanted a girl, and the reason why I wanted a girl is because of the quote unquote struggle that I had growing up and not having a father. When you knew that you were going to have a girl, when you had that, when the ultrasound or whatever you had, when you knew that you were going to have a girl, did you have a similar thought, or a similar fear into, as I did?
No, I didn't, but my husband did.
Mm.
Um, my husband did.
Okay.
He was like, she's never going to South Carolina. I was like, hold on,
Mm.
pause,
Okay.
pause, hold on, pause.
Wait, 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 wait.
Wait. There are some things that she needs to learn. That's not one of them,
Right,
but there are
right,
some
right,
things that she needs to learn about living and growing up,
right,
having a Southern mama.
right.
My husband's Jamaican, and he's like, no,
Oh,
no,
okay.
no, having to convince him, like, no. But yeah, he was that way. Now, for me, it was, I wanted my first child to be a son
Okay.
because I wanted, him to be that person for any of his siblings that come after.
Hmm.
I'm the oldest,
Okay.
and being the oldest is hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I've heard that. I'm an only child, so I don't know. I'm just here. I'm just doing what I do. But go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, and that's the thing, right? And for my son, it's, him being with me through the struggle.
Yeah.
He looks at me differently because I raised my daughter differently than him.
Hmm.
He was with me before I knew who I was.
Yeah.
He was with me through my trials and tribulations of trying to figure out who I
Right.
am.
Right.
He
Right.
was with me when we lived on welfare, didn't have a place to live, going in the military, all these different things. He grew through that. My
Right.
daughter, she came in under Dr. Sutherland
Yeah.
in the finances
Yeah.
that
Yeah. Yeah.
she
Yeah.
had.
Yeah.
Totally different.
Totally.
Totally different.
Totally different. So this concept of mental health. You're from a small town in South Carolina. This idea of mental health. This idea that something that you cannot touch, something that you cannot see, has impacted not only me but my generation. When did you begin to respect your mental health?
When I left that culture
Okay.
of the rejection of mental health, like culturally, and you see it across a lot of Black communities, they don't believe in mental health. Their concept of mental health is go pray about it,
Right.
go talk to the pastor, talk to the barber, all those things.
Yeah.
Whereas these very people are the same people that have their own mental health challenges as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so my first time of trying mental health, I was 21 years old,
Mm.
and I went to the county clinic.
Okay.
And the lady there, she was a young Caucasian female, fresh out of college, no life experience or anything. And the first thing she did was put me on Prozac.
Mm.
I was like, ooh.
Okay.
Okay, well, maybe she knows better.
Right, right,
Let
right.
me try it. And the thing that I learned at that point was never try new medications on a weekday.
Not on a weekday. Don't do it.
Not a weekday. Not a
Don't
weekday.
do it.
Just don't do it.
Don't
Don't
do
do
it.
it.
Don't
Try
do
it
it.
on a Saturday. Because I was at my summer internship at Freightliner Custom Chassis. That summer, I was building alternators for school buses and had a whole mental breakdown. Like, what is going on here? I'm shaking and everything. I'm like, yo, so I go to the bathroom. I'm sitting in the women's bathroom,
Yeah.
balled up like a baby because the Prozac and them took me out. And then I'm crying and carrying on and everything. And then someone goes and gets my father because my father was a forklift driver.
Right.
And then that's when he came and he was like, "What's wrong with you?" And then I told him, I said, I'm trying to heal from something I'm going through. He said, "Well, what did you go through?" Because my dad wasn't in my life.
Mm.
And he said, I told him I was sexually assaulted as a child for numerous years. And he said, "Oh, get over it." And I was like,
Mm. This is
wow.
21, right? This is 21.
This is when I was
Yeah.
21.
Got you.
And I didn't and so after that, my aunt, my mom's sister came in
Mm-hmm.
because she also worked there and she got me up. And then he didn't even believe me. He asked her, "Did that happen?" And she was like, "Yeah, it happened to her."
Wow.
And for him, I don't know what his mind state was
Yeah.
after that. Um, but for me, after that, I didn't try another mental health therapist. I just didn't try it until
Yeah.
I got out of that culture.
Got
And
you.
then I moved here. And the thing that kind of got me was when I went through that self awareness journey, I was trying to figure it out. I didn't know how to do this,
You're right.
and I was going through YouTube, and I found not YouTube, but I'm going through OWN, and I found Oprah's Daddyless Daughters,
Yeah.
that episode, and Fatherless Sons. Oh my God,
Got
those
you.
episodes and watching Dr. Ayanna Van Zant do her
Right,
thing with
right,
them, it made me really take a step back and unpeel that onion
right.
and realize there are so many levels and layers of things that we have to navigate, and that I felt that we have to navigate them individually
Mm-hmm.
in order to truly heal from them individually.
Mm. Did are after that first stint at the age of 21, that first stint
Hmm.
when you allowed yourself to actually you said that you were done after that, right? When did you reconnect and take the approach that possibly you're looking at it right now? How many chances did you get until you actually was like, okay, this is how I want to move forward with this thing called mental health?
It wasn't until this journey. It wasn't until 2024. Not 2024, 2020. What year was that? 2014, I think it was, is when I really saw more of the benefits of mental health
Got you.
therapists and clinicians. Like, and then I didn't know, honestly, just growing up, coming from where I came from,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know Black people were
Yeah.
mental health therapists.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why I wholeheartedly support. I have a T-shirt upstairs right now that says "Black psychologist definition: a psychologist but better."
I love that shirt. I love that. You got to send me a picture of that shirt.
I
You
got to.
you you you've done a lot of work, and you've done a lot of work. You've created an organization around this concept. Just you and I actually met at a conference that you reached out to Bilal, brother Bilal, shout out, that you connected with me on the conference. When you were putting that together, um, can you just talk about some of the goals that you had, intentional goals that you had for that?
Sure. So when I quote unquote got to a point where I felt I was healed,
Okay.
I started seeing my strength,
Mm-hmm.
and I realized that I wasn't in it by myself, and that one, God helped me through a lot of it. I mean, help, like the things that I could go on and on about, the things that were put in place for me to be successful and to show my strength. But the thing that really got me was that you say I met with Bilal. I will tell you that it took me 8 years to build out
Mm.
that confidence.
8 years?
8 years. 8 years. Let me tell you why.
Okay.
Because I needed to find the right fit for the Black community.
Gotcha.
I needed to find what is it that we most needed.
Mm-hmm.
And in order for me to do that, I really needed to take a step back and see what were the biggest issues. And so after I healed from my journey, and I said, all right, I went to God and I asked, what do I do now? And it was go get your doctorate, write the book, start the nonprofit.
Got you.
Yeah. On that journey for 8 years, I got the doctorate. On my journey of the getting the doctorate, I got resources and information. Then I wrote the book. While I'm writing the book, I'm getting more information, meeting more people. So then what happened was after the book, Black men, which I had not really been exposed to,
Right.
they was like, oh, Dr. Sutherland, like, I need you to talk to my wife.
Mm.
She's been sexually assaulted. I don't know how to talk to her. Or can you coach me in talking to my wife? Because I don't know how to talk to her from the perspective of how you talk. And so I'm talking to them about how to delicately approach that topic with their
Mm-hmm.
woman because they just don't know how.
Right.
And then how do you respond when she comes to you?
Mm.
And
Okay.
so I'm going through all that and I'm like, I can't do this by myself.
Right.
I have to put this nonprofit in place where it's open to all of the things that we need as a community.
Okay.
And that means supporting the Black men as well.
Mm.
And
And
so
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
so when I met Bilal at the By Black conference, I was telling him that I'm putting this together, and he was like, "Oh, I'm connected with my man," and I was like,
Was that
"Okay,
me?
that was you."
Okay. I was like,
What we do? I'm glad you what we do. I was like, "Okay,
I got
connect
you.
me with you too," and that's how it came.
Yeah, no, I appreciate Bilal is that dude, so he just be like, yeah, I got you, I got you.
Yes,
We go we
yes.
gonna take a quick break, but on the other side, I do want you to break down the four items in your books or the four phases. So then
Sure.
we gonna go from that. Then I really want to get into this concept of tech and just black women, black girls, because like I said, when Bilal introduced you to me, he was like, "Yeah, she had, at Amazon. She done been with the Obamas, because Bilal, right? She done work for the government." I was like, "What?" She doing mental health, but yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about that, the four phases. Then we're gonna jump into just this idea of all the things that you have been going through and all the things that you've done to get you
Sure.
to this point. So we're going to take a quick break. This is Unapologetically Strong on WOVU 95.9 FM. Welcome back. Welcome back. That's right, Christian Brothers. Let's do it. I love that commercial. Every time I hear that commercial, it just makes me laugh and it warms my heart. But yeah. So we have Dr. Sutherland. We went over 10 years worth of your greatness. So so we're not gonna go back into your greatness, but I do want to jump back into your survivorship. So you are a survivor of chronic you know violence, sexual violence, and it was within your family. And so you took everything that you have gone through and the things that you had experienced, and you decided to make a book. And as I said earlier, and as you educated me on, you had the opportunity to be at the top level of Amazon's book list, to where Amazon actually flew you out to talk about your book. Is that about right?
So almost. So yes, so my book did very well. It hit number one 7 times on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
And due to the success of that, Amazon's KDP team I'm now part. They asked me to be a brand ambassador, so I
Mm-hmm.
am a brand ambassador for Amazon KDP because Amazon's trying to create more Black authors, and so we want to make sure that we help other Black writers understand the process of self-publishing or hybrid publishing, whichever way you choose, but how to leverage Amazon KDP to publish their books on Amazon.
Okay. Wh- So when you created this book, this was
Hmm.
I had to be at a time where you decided to move forward with your growth. That's the assumption. With that said, you broke it down in a way that is more of a teaching guide, not just a book, you know, just for Black women or Black girls. Because the title of the book is "Letters to My Brown Girls." 4 phases to a liberated life beyond childhood sexual abuse. That
Hmm.
first phase. So, can you just break it down, just the phases that the listeners and the readers would see as a part of this book?
Sure. So the 4 phases are called the after framework. The after, AFTR, after stands for acknowledging your truth, where you're acknowledging the weight of the trapped memories and the emotions with an effort to actually address them and lighten the load
Mm-hmm.
so that you can do more about learning how to empower yourself, and then also learning how to have patience with yourself.
Mm.
So that's the acknowledge part. And then the second, the F is for forgiving your past, forgiving
Mm-hmm.
yourself, and forgiving others, where you learn how to leave anger, hurt, insecurity, and anxiety in the past and learn how to forgive yourself, mainly for how you treated yourself because
Right.
you didn't know a lot of things about yourself. And so when you go through this journey, through this book, you start learning more about you.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third phase is the transition from being a survivor to a victor. And this here is where you go through the efforts to free up space in your mind, in your heart, and give yourself time to embrace your view on life absent of the trauma that you went through. And this is where we kind of break down habits, the 3 aspects of a habit, and nitpicking so that you can
Mm-hmm.
get rid of those unhealthy actions and replace them with healthier options.
Gotcha.
And then phase 4 is being reborn, where you're being reborn into your life with your new truth, your new purpose, your new view, and you shift your mindset to focus on progression and not perfection.
Mm.
We put so much on ourselves when it comes to
Yeah.
healing, and a lot of people think, oh, is this going to be overnight, or it may just take a month or two. No, ma'am. This is not something that takes a
No,
month. This is something that takes time.
you got work. You got to put in work.
You
We.
got to put in that work. You got to put, and it has to be, you have to be forgiving of yourself and appreciate the every aspect, and it's progression over perfection.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're a person who, I had a survivor where they couldn't get up out of the bed, they were
Mm.
suffering so much depression from everything they went through, and they felt that the things that they were doing were not milestones. And it's like, no,
Mm-hmm.
if you can't get up out the bed, then your progression is being able to get up out of the
Yeah.
bed, put 2 feet on the floor, and take on the day. That is a huge win
Mm.
for
Mm.
you.
Even just changing, just simply changing your underwear, your pajamas. You
Exactly.
know,
Exactly.
deciding to go from the bedroom to the couch. So
Yes.
that phase 4, that's where we're looking at that reborn, that moving forward.
Moving forward, yes, that's that progression.
Okay,
That's where you start just accepting accepting that your milestones are your milestones.
got you,
You
got you.
have where some have matted hair because they've been laying in the bed so long.
Right.
Get up, comb your hair, take a shower, sit outside,
Mm-hmm.
or just sit in the living room, like you were saying. Every step is a step towards you being better, you getting better. And
Yeah.
so always expecting that, okay, you're going to fall back, but take that next step, keep going.
Yeah.
It's always progression over perfection.
Yeah. So I want to transition into the work that you do, but the last thing that I want to know, since you spent quite a few positions in your professional life as well as time in the government. When you look at how the government is connected to mental health, or even the amount of work that is actually doing to help, promote good advocacy, do you feel it? So, do you feel as though, the government is actually doing, a quality job? And yeah, let's go with that first. Do you think that they're doing a quality job?
So I think that when you talk about quality job, you look at who's doing the work. They
Yeah.
are the government of the people.
Right.
And I participated in Maryland's Coalition Against Sexual Assault conference with their Women of Color Network last year, where they had me host a workshop for about 70 community leaders, 70 nonprofits that focus on providing resources for sexual assault victims in multiple aspects, right? And so the thing that I talk to them about is that you have to take a step back and build out the resources based on the community
Mm-hmm.
that you're trying to serve. You cannot heal African Americans with the same resources you use with Native Americans.
Mm-hmm.
You have to take into consideration the cultural differences
Mm-hmm.
when you're trying to help people heal. You have to understand, one, you have to create what I call the 4 C's, pull the 4 C's together to create the resources. Number one, creating a circle of resources, circle of people that understand the audience, the victims, the survivors that you're trying to heal. So
Mm-hmm.
bring together those people, because you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And everybody does not know everything. But if we bring together that circle of people, we can help provide the resources that they need, number one. Number two, understand the customs
Mm.
of the people that you're trying to heal,
Yeah. Yeah.
understanding how they operate, understand, the impact that church has on the African American community when it comes to mental health.
Got you. Got you. Got you. So the gov.
Yep. So
Yeah. Go ahead.
so from a government's perspective, it's for me, they are so broad because they have to serve so many at the federal level.
Mm-hmm.
When you
Mm-hmm.
get down to, it's the local governments that you have to really target, because they know their communities better
Right.
than the federal government knows their communities.
Right.
Because we're just at the federal level, you're just a statistic, you're a number.
Right.
But you need those local resources in the communities that actually have the impact to do the work.
Yeah.
And so when you talk about quality, it's depending on the administration and depending on the level the level that you're talking about.
When you were, and it's going to transition over to what you do. So you are in tech, and when we look at the intersection of mental health and technology, it is something that has actually been, has been looked at a little bit more deeper. So we're not just simply talking about the individuals that are creating the technology. They don't have that capacity of diversity. We're also talking about how what is put out, can cause or is connected to some of the harm that we go through. As a tech individual, when you see some of these statistics of individuals, high levels of depression, anxiety, simply based off of technology, what are some of your thoughts?
My thought is, the thing that comes to my mind is when we develop, as a technologist, when we develop the technology, we develop based on a specific customer need,
Mm-hmm.
period. However, the evolution of how people use that is what gets us down those levels
Yeah.
of mental health numbers, because it also goes back to the intent of, like, a knife can be used as an eating
Mm-hmm.
utensil, but it can also be used as a weapon,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
And that's how I look at technology. The application, when, as a technologist, when I'm putting out a product, I put it out for a customer, but then so many other people take it to a whole other level that
Mm-hmm.
you never thought about. As a cybersecurity professional, I have to also think about that,
Right.
because I have to protect that technology based on the threats that are occurring or the misuse that may be happening
Right. Right.
from that technology.
Right. And what's interesting, if we look at the diversity of the tech industry,
Mhm.
even looking at you, so we're looking at a survivor, we're looking at a woman, we're looking at a black woman, married woman, have children, all of these things or demographics that you have, that when you go into a job, in order, like you said, to make an application, dictates at times how that application is created. When you walk into rooms and only see you, are you surprised? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised of the output that we're getting if we're not seeing diversity in the actual creation of these application and the people that are putting it out.
Yeah, and so the thing is that when you want to build, people ask me all the time, how is it that Amazon is growing
Mm-hmm.
so much? You should see the diversity of the Amazon workforce, because we have our military people, we have
Mm-hmm.
our LGBTQ community, we have affinity groups for African Americans, for Asian Americans. I mean, it's so many. And so we're doing a lot of things to develop tech for us, but we'll just take Amazon out of the equation. Everyone else, we've seen studies where when the more diverse of a team you have,
Mm-hmm.
the better off these companies are doing, because
Right.
your customer base is diverse and they have diverse needs.
Mm-hmm.
And so who better to understand their needs than the people that look like them?
Right. Right.
If you don't have those people that look like them, then you're not going to be able to meet the needs of that community. And then guess what? They're going to find things elsewhere.
Right. When you're talking to individuals at Amazon or in the boardroom or even because you do board work as well. When you're talking to these individuals about the need for different faces, talk about some of the looks that you get, the pushback that you get in putting forth the agenda of diversity.
Sure. So one of the things is interesting. You brought that up. I actually just talked about this. We were doing some planning a while back. And I have a concern about learning loss as a result of COVID
Yeah.
in the African American community,
Mm-hmm.
and how I'm speaking on these tech panels, these STEM panels, I'm working with College Board to develop, the first cybersecurity AP type course, advanced placement course for high school students, and talking to these nonprofits who are trying to put more Black military leaders at West Point.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm talking to all of these different people and saying, look, we have to take into consideration the learning loss that these kids has experienced because of COVID, and we have to start putting more resources into getting their those gaps addressed.
Right.
And I mean, even with me, I brought my niece up this summer from South Carolina to take her to Sylvan Learning Center so I can kind of help close those gaps. It's what is it that the tech communities and the government can do, even though the tech communities and the government communities are looking at college students
Mm-hmm.
graduating, graduating from college. You're missing the mark,
Mm-hmm.
because with the learning loss, a lot of them are not going to make it to college.
Okay.
A lot
Okay.
of them are going to struggle with certifications.
Mm-hmm.
So that pipeline, I'm sorry, we were told to not use the word pipeline anymore because it can be, to be politically correct, the braided river
Okay.
of the different children that are coming into this braided river to feed these jobs. We have to prepare them to enter this
Mm-hmm.
workforce. If we don't get them at middle school, when it comes to tech, if we don't get them at middle school, then we're going to struggle and have a struggle finding the right competent workforce
Mm-hmm.
in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to do more with engaging at those levels. We're doing things, partnering with Black Girls Code, Girls Who Code, STEM Noir, Blacks in Cybersecurity, Women in Cybersecurity. So these are all the nonprofits that I've supported. I've done classes for, coached on, but having more awareness of these
Mm-hmm.
in your local areas is going to be key to helping us address that gap and that learning loss with some of our kids, specifically in our communities.
The idea of mentorship, because that's really what it's about. When you're looking at
Yeah.
mentorship and you're looking at it, so in my profession, it's very few Black males, right? And so there is
Mhm.
so many that are looking for mentorship. I simply get tired when you have such a big need, and it is so great. It can be kind of daunting to want to bring everybody I mean,
Yeah.
when you run into that, what are some of the things you do to strengthen you as well as to encourage those who you can't mentor because you're tired?
Sure. So one of the things that I do love, the things that we did at Amazon was create a mentoring circle
Mm-hmm.
where the mentees sign up and the mentors sign up, and you get, like, instead of doing your one-on-one sessions, you're
Right.
doing your session with a circle of people who
Okay.
need that same type of information.
Okay.
And so I like that aspect of it. They did that way. Last year, I created what I call the glass ceiling.
Okay.
The glass ceiling is I created a small cohort because I went to a conference and I saw my mentor there. Me and her were just kind of talking, and we realized that our needs, our concerns were not being discussed at this conference.
Right.
And so we created a small group where I brought in 10 of my 10 Black female cyber executives across every industry, the women
Mm-hmm.
that I know. And then I brought in a group of women that I know that are dedicated to continuing their journey in cyber, and they're looking for mentors.
Mm.
So I partner them together so that they can have that one on one, in depth conversation with navigating the challenges that we experience as Black women in tech.
Okay.
And so helping them understand, number one, what a mentor is,
Mm-hmm.
number two, the difference between mentorship and sponsorship.
Yep. Yep.
There's a huge difference,
Yep.
right? And so helping them understand the need for both and the difference between the two. Because a sponsor will put their career on the line for you. A
Yeah.
mentor is just there to give you what you need and help you
Yes.
navigate.
And I
But
was
you want
no. Go ahead. Go
but
ahead.
you but you want a sponsor, right? And so that part, that's the gold standard, is a
Mm-hmm.
sponsor,
Mm-hmm.
right? Mentors are great, but sponsors are better.
But
And so to find sponsors, oh man, let me tell
if
you,
y'all
I
can
have
only
got
if y'all can only see her face, if y'all because
I'm passionate about it.
right, right. If y'all can only see her face, we're gonna take a quick break and we're gonna come back and we're gonna go back to that sponsorship because the first thing I heard about is money. Because you can give all these words, you give all these superlatives, but when the rubber meets the road, it's really about the money that we are pouring into these organizations that are nonprofits that are moving forward in order to better the tech world as well as better the world, period. So we're gonna take a quick break. We're not gonna go to the Christian Brothers. We're gonna go to somewhere else. But we're gonna take a quick break. I'll catch you on the other side. This is Unapologetically Strong on WOVU 95.9 FM. All right, welcome back. Welcome back. We have Dr. Sutherland. I don't think I've ever called you by your first name, and I don't think I ever want to. I just, even when you call, I think I just say Doc. Or when I called you, I think I just say Doc. But that's neither here nor there. But that's neither here nor there. All right. So before we took our break, you talked about sponsorship, and what's interesting is the amount of life that went into your face when you said sponsorship. I heard dollar
Yes.
signs, right?
Mhm.
Because let's be perfectly real. I do want to give a shout out to my son, Eric King Jr. He listening to me. Hopefully you got out of bed today, because he didn't get out of bed till late yesterday. But he said he listening anyway. Um, you talked about sponsorship, and anytime I hear about sponsorship, I talk about money, or I hear money because I think we've gotten past the point of words. Um, Put your dollars where your words are. When you're going and doing your advocacy for all of these things, even getting more, black faces in the tech world, what type of money are we looking at? To be perfectly honest, that people are throwing or putting out in order to fill this diversity gap.
So I'm not quite sure as far as the amount of money,
Yeah.
to from a sponsorship perspective of the different programs that they're dishing out to, like, Nesby and Black Girls Code. But I know there's a lot of funding going out to it.
Good.
I know that they called me and they're asking me, hey, can you come be a face for these kids, because they need to see someone that looks like them in
Okay.
STEM. And so I would say, that, like for example, I did the National Institute of Standards and Technology has a annual cybersecurity conference just for K-12 teachers.
Okay.
That is to give them resources to address the cybersecurity gaps that they have in K through 12.
Okay.
And so when I spoke to them about my background, where I did 8 years as an Army cyber soldier,
Hmm.
8 years as a defense contractor, 8 years as a federal civilian, and now in the private sector in year 3 in my private sector. And during that time, I've secured buildings, satellites,
Mm.
cars, in addition to all your regular computers, and then as well as weapon systems, military drones, tanks, things like that. And people are like, wow, I didn't know that tech was there. Yes, all the way to military weapons. Like the
Nice.
tech, we need tech people so much. And but the problem that we have is that a lot of people are intimidated
Yeah.
by the technology, especially in the minority aspect.
Yeah.
We see that because there's like, oh my God, it's just so much. You have to learn how to compartmentalize
Hmm.
technology.
Okay.
If you understand the basic components of how computers, the CPU, the processor, the storage, and how it's going or how it's leaving or coming into your computer, you can break everything down. Everything else outside of that is just a facade.
Yeah.
And so even like when I'm breaking down cars to secure a vehicle,
Hmm.
I'm breaking it down to every component that just does that and secure it one bite at a time. Like they
Yeah.
say, how do you eat an elephant? One
One
bite
bite
at
at
a
a
time.
time.
And that's what you do. So don't get intimidated by it. Take some time to step back. And that's where I learned to have like having patience with yourself,
Hmm.
taking the step back and actually breaking it down and not getting frustrated with yourself. And when you do get frustrated, identifying ways to help you kind of navigate that
Hmm.
part, that
Hmm.
frustration.
Yeah,
And that
because
goes back to the mental health part.
yeah, that the idea that I have this goal, and this goal is to diversify a complete industry. Um, spe- an industry that has been for the last, what, 50, 60 years, a very important industry to the operations of United States, trying to get more. We hear a lot of superlatives, and we do really well with superlatives. Everyone wants to help the black face, but not everybody wants to put forth the money to help
Money
those
in, right?
those black faces move forward. When you're working through that resistance, I get the taking small bites. I get all that. Is there, I hate to ask this, and I putting you on the spot, are there entities that are more likely to support you than others?
As far as my efforts for tech
Yes.
or tech from a tech perspective, um, I've actually had more support from white males
Hmm.
than others, and I think that's also because it's not that many of us in the field.
Yeah.
And when I talk about mentors, I talk about the mentors I've had for every part of my life: a spiritual mentor, a
Hmm.
professional mentor, a mentor who's been a mom that knows how to navigate tech. And
Hmm.
so I'm looking at all of the awesome women like Dr. Diana Burley, Miss Latuda Hutchinson, Dr. Wanda Jones Heath, Miss
Hmm.
Essie Miller. These are all great Black women that I have, grown to respect, love, that have helped me navigate. And when you talk about sponsorship from a hey, let me help you get this job
Right.
perspective,
Right.
because everybody can get the hookup, but everybody can't perform. So if
Exactly.
you get the hookup, you have to be there, be able to stay. You got to be able to perform.
Right.
But everybody's not willing to put their name on the line for you.
Hmm.
And so when you find people that are willing to watch you grow,
Hmm.
put their name on the line to get you a job, and you actually perform, and then they tell you they're proud of you and all these other, that is like the best feeling in the world. So when I talk about sponsorship, my face light up because I have a lot of great people who have sponsored me because I show up and I show out. And it
Mm-hmm.
goes back to my integrity. Everybody's not like that.
Yeah.
And so I had this one young lady, she said, "Oh, Dr. Sutherland, I'm leaving for another job. They're paying me more money." I said, "But we're here trying to teach you, help you grow, and we're
Mm.
mentoring you." And she's like, "But they're giving me, so much more money." I said, "Well, honey, all money ain't good money. You you're going to go out there and you're going to get a boss that
Yeah.
does not give a crap about your
Yeah.
professional development."
Yeah.
And that's what happened to her. And she's been job hopping for the last 10 years, trying to just continuously find that pay, because back in the day we were getting paid way more than what we were worth.
Yeah.
But now, because they're trying to pull back,
Yep.
and she's so used to a certain job, a certain salary, she keeps job hopping to find it. You're looking for the wrong thing, honey.
Yeah. It ain't out there.
Because, yeah, every time the contract ends, you're gone because you have no value for them.
Right.
And so when you find a sponsor, when you find mentorship, stay with them and suck as much as you can out
Right.
of them, because when you leave that safe space, you don't know what you're going to find.
And that's the interesting part, because although I'm speaking, or I was speaking, about money, it's also about connection. It's also about
Oh,
access. It's also about doors open. And what happened is we don't value the amount of access and comfort, and not even comfort in, being stagnant, but comfort in the ability to grow. We don't value that in the same way we value a dollar. So yes, you can go make $125,000, and you're going to have to do this, and you're going to have to do this, or you can stay with us, or you can continue to grow with us, and you may make 10 to 20% less, and you get to explore, and you get to create. So when you're connecting and attempting to direct, so this is what I suspect. You have someone that come to you. You mentor them to ensure that they are worthy of the access of a sponsorship. You sponsor that individual. When they're at that mentoring, moment, what are some things that you're looking for? You said integrity. I got that part. But
yeah.
if those that are listening and you're mentoring before you get to that next level, which is access, or sponsorship, which is access, what are some things you're looking for that we can take away from this?
Sure. So I tell people I'm looking for three things. Number one, I call it the CIA pillars to a successful career. Number one is competency, the
Mm-hmm.
C, the competency. Do you have, or have you done the things you need to do to get the knowledge, right? Because your knowledge and your skills is the real value.
Right.
If you don't have the knowledge or skills, I'm not going to deal with you, because that means to me you haven't put the time in to get the education or get the training. And so I tell people, go find the golden ticket. I was like, you know what the golden ticket is?
Right.
Remember Willy Wonka? Go find your golden ticket, meaning the golden ticket for the profession that you're in. And every profession has a golden ticket,
Yep.
whether it's certification or whatever. And so go find your golden ticket, get your golden ticket, because that also shows that you are willing to put forth the time and effort to do the work, number one.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, the value that you have. Do you understand how to read the mission of a company?
Mm.
Do you know how to read the mission of your team and provide value? Because I'm not giving you a job just to come in here and sit down. You need to be able to actually show me the value that you're going to bring for me. I'm not doing that. I'm not hiring you for that. I hired you for a reason. We hire smart people to be smart. So with the individuality, I look at them as, what is the value that you bring to me, to the team, to the organization? And I had a young lady the other day tell me, a Black woman who's much older than me, and I think this is something that speaks to our culture, is that we don't understand the value of networking and mentorship.
Right.
And those are huge, because you don't know what you don't know. And
Exactly.
because you don't know what you don't know, then you could struggle.
Exactly. I love that. Thank you so much for spending time. So the CIA is. Did you say CIA?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
competency, individuality, and awareness. That's that access, and that knowing who's who, so that you can network with them to get those opportunities, so you can show your value.
Love it, love it. So we're gonna have to wrap it up and get up
Yep.
out. I appreciate you just spending time. I mean, like I said, anyone that touched the hand of the great Michelle Obama and spending time with me, he's got to be somebody there. So that is Dr. Cynthia Sutherland.
Thank you, Eric.
All amazing. So I just want to thank you once again for spending time. And as usual, as you know, anytime that you need me, as you do, you'll text. I'll be like, "What's up, Doc?" So I appreciate you. So that, I'll catch you guys next round. This is Unapologetically Strong.